Allegiance and an invocation by Chief Schmidt.
Our Father in heaven, we thank Thee for the many blessings that we enjoy, the ability we have to live, work, and play in this region and in this country. Father, we are grateful to Thee for the many blessings that was bestowed upon our region. We're also grateful to Thee for those that serve on this board and for those that provide the input so that wise decisions can be made for not only ourselves but the region. Father, we're grateful for the ability to get together now and ask Thee to please bless us with Thy Spirit, that we might have the spirit of discernment, peace, and the ability to calmly discuss the topics of the evening so that informed and wise decisions may be made to continue to show the rest of this country the way that a community that comes together can be. And we say these things in the name of Thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Eric. Madam Clerk, we get a roll call, please.
Lucas? Yes. Denham? Here. Cooper?
Here.
Milton?
Yep.
Howden?
Here.
LeBlanc? Here. Schultz?
Here.
Your Honor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. We're going to start off this evening with special recognition. Bob Smither and Higginbotham. Is that right? Yeah, Higginbotham. Where is Higginbotham?
Higginbotham's right here.
Oh, hi, Higginbotham.
Yes, so Bob Smither, risk manager for City of Branson. And just a little bit of background. So Missouri Employers Mutual is our current workers' compensation insurance carrier. And they created a safety grant program for their policyholders where they will match dollar for dollar up to $10,000 on expenditures for program-approved safety products and equipment that enhances workplace safety. So not too long ago, many of us attended a safety training that was actually provided by a trainer from Missouri Employers Mutual, where we learned a little bit about some equipment that could replace equipment that we're using that would be much safer. So we decided to apply for a safety grant to get some help in purchasing this equipment. So the picture you see up there is the equipment that we're purchasing. So we applied and were awarded the grant funding for the purchase of 2 cut-off chainsaws, that's what you see on the left up there, and then one that's called a valve exerciser. So to kind of explain what happens there is we have crews almost daily going around the city repairing water leaks. Many here have experienced that when your water's been shut off for a while so they could repair those leaks. Part of that process is our guys have to get down in a hole with what they call a hot saw, which is those big saws you see with big circular blades on them, to cut pipe, and anywhere from 2 inches to 12-inch pipe, and those saws can't really effectively do that really well. And also, at the same time, they've got to shut a valve off somewhere near that leak so that the water can be shut off in that area so they can do it. So they cut a lot of pipe, and they open and close a lot of valves. And currently it's all done manually with the valves. It's a big old bar with the T across it, and they have to, sometimes these valves are 20 years old and they don't open and close too well. So we put that equipment in as for the grant, and it will allow much safer pipe cutting and the opening and closing of the water valves, which in turn reduces in some cases and eliminates in some other cases the exposure of our employees to strains and sprains due to overexertion that we tend to see in our workplace. So tonight, we have with us Casey Chastain, Managing Director, and Billy Barker, Account Manager of Higginbotham Insurance and Financial Services. And I believe Deborah is here with them too. And so they are currently our property, liability, cyber, and workers' compensation insurance broker. So it's through their efforts that we even have Missouri Employers Mutual in the first place. And they are here to present a check representing our award from the safety grant of $7,066. So as I mentioned, they matched dollar for dollar, so our equipment was over $14,000, and we're getting help with half of it from our carry because they liked what we're doing, and they approved the award. So thank you, Higginbotham, for that.
You gonna get a photo? Up, hold it. Bob, don't go far. As many of us know, Bob has well-received, well-deserved recognitions for many of the things he does for our city. And he makes a positive difference for every one of us. And I have observed, many in the community have observed what Bob has done quietly for our veteran community. So, I have a proclamation for Bob. Whereas it is recognized that Bob Smither has been a dedicated member of the Branson Veterans Task Force since 2018, and throughout his service has demonstrated exceptional dedication, heartfelt contributions, and unwavering support for our veteran community, making a lasting impact for which we are all profoundly grateful. And whereas Bob Smither stepped down as treasurer in 2024 to dedicate more of his time and energy to the Veterans Village, where he has tirelessly overseen the vendor rooms and day rooms, veteran service rooms, registration, and ensuring the veterans receive the care and support they deserve. And whereas it is recognized that Bob Smither, a veteran himself, brings a unique understanding of the challenges faced by veterans, consistently demonstrating an unwavering commitment to uplifting the veteran community through his proactive leadership and team spirit. And whereas Bob Smithers has touched the lives of countless veterans and community members by playing taps on his beloved bugle, often with little notice, providing a deeply moving tribute that honors the service and sacrifice of veterans and active duty members alike. Now, therefore, I, Larry Milton, Mayor of the City of Branson, Missouri, do hereby proclaim August 27th, 2024 as Bob Smithers Day.
Okay, here, let's come on over.
Get in there, Artie. I purposely kept that off the agenda so Bob would be surprised. So, Madam Clerk, do we have any public speakers?
We have two speakers.
Two speakers. So this is the public comment section of the Board of Aldermen meeting. At this time, the board will hear the citizens who have signed up in the order they are listed. Please note the clerk will let speakers know when they have 30 seconds left, and a notification will sound when their time is up. We ask that speakers wrap up their comments upon hearing the 30-second warning. If a speaker would like a board member to bring an item from the consent agenda down for additional discussion, please note this request during public comments. Please come to the freestanding microphone to address the board. Madam Clerk.
Our first speaker is Lloyd Branson, speaking on Constitution Week event, September 21st.
But the audience is back there.
Well, you're,
So I'm just here to share a little information about a Constitution Week event coming up on the 21st of September at the Freedom Encounter Theater. And there's a little story I'd like to tell that kind of led me to this opportunity. I've only been in Branson a few days, and I'm here to make sure everything goes smoothly. And it's actually an event with Laura Logan and Roseanne Barr. They're both, anyway, so it'll be a lot of fun. Anyway, so what happened was the 2020 election made my brother real angry, and he has some legal experience, and so he called me up and he says, you know what, they should have taken 10 days to investigate, regardless of the side you were on. And he says, I think with my knowledge that we could bring a lawsuit that would raise awareness and show that something happened that shouldn't have happened. And I said, that's great. And he says, and I want you to be the plaintiff. And so it's like, really? So anyway, one thing led to another, where we ended up filing a federal lawsuit in federal court, and you can't do that with the kind of lawsuit we filed. It's a claims lawsuit. And so the court unfiled it, and we kind of battled back and forth, and finally they refiled it, and they sent it on to the 10th Circuit, and we found a Supreme Court Rule 11 that allows you, if you can convince the Supreme Court of the United States to allow you to bypass the circuit court, and they feel it's one of imperative public importance, and there's a Chief Justice that's involved with that, we don't know which one, then you make it to the Supreme Court. So I am the proud petitioner of the first petition for writ of certiorari filed by the Supreme Court of the United States under their Rule 11 ever in the history of the court. And the last time a Rule 11 was filed was by the U.S. government in the 70s. So what happened was I got some national attention about that. And my brothers, we didn't get a hearing, we got denied. My brothers were all depressed, and I says, wait a minute, they spelled our name right, Brunson, real close to Branson, right? And it's like, so this is, what has happened is kind of launched an opportunity for me to travel around the country and speak. And so some people have gotten behind, I have a Constitution book that I claim has discoveries in it. I highlight the power clauses in the Constitution that have been ignored for over 200 years. And so they have gotten behind me, and Roseanne Barr has seen some of my interviews, and Laura Logan. We all decided to raise awareness and have a contest. And what it is in 10 seconds, you have to say or sing what you would do if you were President of the United States. And maybe if any of you sing, you could enter the contest. And Clay, you could win a prize.
Sign me up, man.
All right. So September 21st, I brought a few flyers with me. And I just wanted to mention one of the discoveries in my little Constitution book that I have is that I found that there's an interpretation clause in the Constitution. You know, we refer to the first 10 amendments as the Bill of Rights. But the Continental Congress really defined them as further declaratory and restrictive clauses to the Constitution. And the 9th Amendment, to me, is actually, I think it's like one of the commandments. I think it's the voice of God, my personal opinion, demanding that the Constitution only be interpreted in ways that protect our unalienable rights. And it goes like this, it's just one sentence. The enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. So no interpretation of the Constitution is allowed by the Constitution unless it supports and defends the unalienable rights of we the people. So anyway, that's pretty much my presentation, and if you'd like a copy of my book, I brought some with me for free, and I have a few of these flyers if you'd like to take a look at the flyer, and you can go to KidsSaveUSA.com, because that's the theme, Kids Save USA, kids ages 6 to 107. I don't know why we put 107, but it's 107. So you're all invited to come out, and that's September 21st at the Freedom Encounter Theater, and if you have any questions, you can go to KidsSaveUSA.com. We just finished the flyer today, so I don't know if it's up yet, but if you have any questions, feel free to talk to me afterwards or go to kidssaveusa.com. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lloyd.
What time does that start on the 21st?
Well, actually, auditions start at 10 a.m. and go to 5 p.m., and then 5:30 is when Roseanne Barr and Lara Logan and some other celebrity judges will judge the finalists. The first place is $1,000, the second place is $500, and I think we'll have 1 to 200 one-ounce silver coins and additional prizes. So we want to make everyone happy and feel good that they participated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here this evening. We're blessed to have this gentleman here.
Our final speaker is Gary Groman, speaking on Angie Teal, a convention center blessing.
Oh.
This could have gone one or two ways, but just call me a love muffin. While doing my due diligence for an article I was writing on Angie Teal, the Branson Center convention manager, I came across a February 4th, 2020 Facebook post she made saying, quote, "So excited today. It's been a year in the making. World, meet the new Cox Business Convention Center. Diverse city, diverse crowd, diverse spaces. Today we celebrate Tulsa." End quote. When I went to check on the context of the post, I discovered that on the day before, February 3rd, 2020, the convention center had published a release on their site entitled, quote, "Tulsa's Convention Center rebrands to communicate venue's goals and diversity." Among other things, the release said, the Cox Business Center Convention Center debuts today after a year-long rebrand, and with the new brand comes a visual look to solidify its role in city and place in Tulsa as a must-stop destination for meeting and events. It went on to say, quote, "Both the renovation and the addition of the convention center in the venue's name are part of our goal of making Tulsa a strong contender when it comes to state and national events to further contribute to the city's overall economic impact." That's kind of our goal, isn't it? Further, went on to further say, the rebrand campaign slogan is diverse city, diverse crowds, diverse spaces, and this captures not only the essence of the venue, but the ever-growing spirit of Tulsa. I can't help but think Branson, diverse city, diverse crowds, diverse entertainment. It captures the city of Branson. I think we got the right person down there doing this for us. I wonder how successful the Cox Business Convention Center had been since its rebranding, and came across a 2022 article. It said, quote, "The Cox Business Center has been honored as one of North America's best convention centers." Now, this is all since 2020 when that announcement came out. Convention centers for trade shows and corporate events for the third year in a row. Out of more than 100 venues, CBCC placed among the highest qualified facilities in Exhibitor Magazine Centers of Excellence list. I know Angie's only been here for a relatively short time, but I thought to myself, wow, the assistant manager must have had something to do with that success. And how blessed Branson is to have someone of her caliber to help her expand our convention center and take it to new heights of success. But it goes beyond mere professional competence. Her answers to a couple of questions I asked her during the interview indicates to me a spirit that is lockstep in the values that we hold dear. The question was, what is your favorite part about being a manager for the Branson Convention Center? She said, it's not just the building, but the people, the tourism community, the hotel community. Everybody's been just so welcoming. It's not like that in a lot of cities. They see the convention center as a loss leader, and it kind of just sits there, and they just have to figure out how to fund it. But with this property, you can really feel the community support behind it. The next question I asked her is, what advice would you give someone looking to enter the venue management profession? She said, take it one step at a time, because if you jump in with both feet, it can be very overwhelming if you're not used to it. But it can be manageable. Historically, our industry has done a bad job of maintaining a work-life balance. I try to get away from that narrative, and I want people to be able to spend time with family. I have 2 kids at home and an amazing husband. My wife has an amazing husband. I love my family, and I want to be there as much as I can. I jumped in with both feet when I first got into the industry, and it was very overwhelming. I missed the time with my husband and with my kids. Then as I got older and wiser, I realized what's important is spending time with my family, not necessarily the work I do. There's always somebody that can replace me at work, but there's no one that can replace me at home. So make sure you understand that balance and fight for what it means to you. As we move forward with the possible expansion of the convention center, I am so happy that Branson is fortunate enough to have somebody of Angie's professional ability and Branson's spirit to help us make the Branson Convention Center all it can be. And I hope that you folks feel the same way.
We adore Angie. Thank you, Gary. Next is the consent agenda. Are there any items that any member of the board would like to have moved down of the consent agenda to ask additional questions or comments? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, would you please read the items on the consent?
Your Honor, the items on the consent agenda are as follows. Approval of the Board of Aldermen minutes for the August 13th, 2024 special meeting and August 13th, 2024 regular meeting. Acknowledgement of disbursements for July 18th, 2024 through August 14th, 2024, and final reading of Bill Number 6473, an ordinance establishing the annual levy of a property tax for general revenue in the city of Branson, Missouri, a city of the fourth class. Your Honor, that concludes the reading of the consent agenda.
Have a motion approving all items on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Madam Clerk will provide a roll call vote, please.
Lucas? Denham?
Yes.
Cooper?
Yes.
Howden?
Yes.
LeBlanc?
Yes.
Schultz?
Yes.
The result of the vote is 6-0, motion carries. Your Honor, the next item is a resolution of support for affordable housing by Ring Property Company, LLC, referred to as Fall Creek Ridge, located at South Falls Avenue, Branson, Missouri.
Do I have a motion adopting this resolution?
Second.
We have a motion and a second, and we'll get a staff report from Amanda. Hello, Amanda.
Good evening, Mayor, Board of Aldermen, City Administrator. Thank you for your time this evening. I'd like to welcome Robert Ring from Ring Properties up to the podium. He's here tonight. Yep. All right. He is going to present the next two items on the agenda tonight regarding affordable housing. The first is a project at Fall Creek Ridge on South Falls Avenue.
Welcome back, Robert.
Thank you so much. Mayor Milton, members of the board, members of the city staff. My name is Bob Ring. I am a developer, and I am the developer for two projects which will be submitted to the Missouri Housing Development Commission for awards, potentially, of federal and state low-income housing tax credits, which will be submitted on September the 18th. These two projects will be, if I may jump ahead, because I've got two things on your agenda, Fall Creek Ridge and Donnelly Crossing. Fall Creek Ridge, and by the way, if this sounds redundant to you, it is because it is. I was here last year asking for the very same thing, and I did submit these projects last year. I was grateful to get the award of the resolution of support from the board last year, and we did not get an award. That does not necessarily surprise me because the win rate of awards of projects being submitted to the Housing Commission is roughly 30%. There really is just a very, very low rate of wins because the Housing Commission simply does not have sufficient resources to go around. Doesn't mean the projects that were not awarded were bad projects. As a matter of fact, after the awards were made, the Housing Commission asks all the developers that did not receive an award for a post-mortem meeting to talk about why you did not get an award. And I jumped all over that. I wanted to find out why. And they said there's nothing wrong with these applications. These are very good applications. They're great sites. We just didn't have enough room in our allocation this year. So the strong inference was resubmit next year, and you'll have a good chance next year. So by way of introduction, Fall Creek Ridge, as your package has shown you, and I'm not going to go through the PowerPoint, it's just redundant from what you've seen last year. Let me just talk about them. Fall Creek Ridge is a 48-unit project that is the absolute identical twin sister of another project that I'm about to start called Donnelly Ridge. You all approved this 2 years ago. We got an award of credits, and we are this close to putting a shovel in the ground and getting moving. So, and I will tell you publicly that it's been a joy to work with your planning and building staffs, all your staff. So professional. We really have enjoyed working with you. It's been smooth as it can be. Working with the Housing Commission of the state agencies, the federal agencies, That's a bit of a morass of red tape, and we have to get through all that. But working at the city level has been a joy. Fall Creek Ridge will be 2 24-unit buildings, linear in shape. They will be 3-story walk-ups with exterior entrances, 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartments, 825 square feet. I'm sorry, I'm on Donnelly Crossing. Fall Creek Ridge will be 48 units, 30 2-bedroom, 2 baths, 18 3-bedroom, 2 baths. They will be not age restricted. They will be open to families, singles, seniors, anybody that wants to, but they will be income limited. We will have some apartments will be restricted to residents whose incomes are 30% or less of area median income. Some of the apartments will be restricted to people whose incomes are 60% or less of the area median income. And 5 apartments will be what we call market rate. They will be unrestricted as to income. Donnelly Crossing will be a different kind of property. It'll be a 3-story, 2-story, 3-story building because we're working into the topography of the site. Be located right across the road from Donnelly Ridge. It will be a seniors-only property. It will be a 3-story elevated building on the one side, 42 units, all 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartments, at 825 square feet. Again, we will have a mix of 30% units there, a mix of 60% units there, and we will have 5 market rate units there. So the long and short of why I'm here tonight, I take nothing for granted. I've been very blessed in my career in real estate. The low-income housing tax credit business is not the most profitable in the world, but in many respects, it's the most gratifying. And I've done projects where after the building is opened and the residents are in and they're walking around, milling around, having coffee or getting their mail, I'll just walk through and I've been stopped before and I've been told, thank you for building this building. It's the nicest place I've ever lived in my life. And that's a showstopper. That's a very, very powerful statement. And that really is why we do what we do. There's a dearth of affordable housing, not just in Branson, in all of Missouri, and all of the United States for that matter. But what we want to do here is to present these 2 projects to the Housing Commission for their consideration and bring more affordable housing to Branson for your seniors, for your workforce housing, for all your folks who live or work in the tourist industry. They need a great place to live. And if an 85-year-old widow is able to live in an apartment that she could not otherwise afford, that is why we do what we do. So with your consideration, I'm deeply grateful for the chance to be here and talk before you tonight. I'm a guest in your home. I'm glad to be here. We love doing business in Branson. So I humbly ask you for a resolution of support for each of Fall Creek Ridge and Donnelly Crossing. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Bob, I have one question.
Yes, sir.
The income mix, you had 30%, 60%, and 5%. Where's the other 5?
I'm sorry.
No, your income mix, it's okay. It was,
30%, 60% market rate.
and then, yeah, 10% for market rate.
5 in each project, so it's about that, yes.
Oh, okay. Well, when I first saw you, I recalled your presentation last year. I know you had 100% of this board's support. I was going to recommend you can come up and say ditto. We would say ditto and move on.
Well, I do not want to take anything for granted here.
I appreciate that. Does any member of the board have any questions or comments? Marshall?
You know, I just want to say, you know, have the utmost professionalism, sir. It's always actually great to see your face out there.
Thank you.
And from what you're saying, the testimonies that you have from people that live in your buildings, I have no doubt that they're of the highest quality. You know, but it just speaks to, and I think for this board to consider in the future, how competitive these MHDC submissions can be. So even for a gentleman like this, who's of the highest order and highest quality, I just think it's very important that we always put our best foot forward of any of these, knowing that yours certainly fit that qualification, sir. But I think it's very important because these are very competitive, and you can submit the best one, and it just might not be the right time. So that certainly isn't a knock against yours, sir. In fact, I think it's a testament to you that you're back here and that you've got a great product to present to us.
Thank you. Perseverance pays off eventually, I think, everything else being equal, but without strong community support, I'll be at the back of the line.
You have strong community support.
Thank you.
Any other board members have?
Yes,
Ruth?
Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Ring. You set the bar when you came in and applied, so professionally done. And so that is how we are getting our applications in now. So thank you for being so professional and being a true example of how projects should be applied for.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Anybody in the audience have any questions or comments? Hearing none. Board, any other questions, comments before we vote? Nope. So let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it. Madam Clerk, I guess we have to read it.
Your Honor, the next item is a resolution of support for affordable housing by Ring Property Company LLC located at the northwest corner of Frank Ray Boulevard and Garges Way, Branson, Missouri.
Do you have a motion adopting this resolution?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Amanda, you're done. Bob, anything you want to add?
No, sir.
Any
I'm
members
deeply
of the
grateful.
board?
Thank you.
Any members of the board have any questions or comments?
This comment, I just want to thank you for your perseverance in that. And, even though that MHDC gets a little gritty and the competition's steep, the idea that you stick it out, is just going to bless the community here. And we definitely need this. And, it's just another step forward that we're making in, making the community a better place. So thank you so much for everything you do.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Any other aldermen? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it. Bob, thank you very much.
Your Honor, the next item is a resolution of support for affordable housing by Capstone Fast Track LLC located at the southeast corner of North Wildwood and Gretna Road, Branson, Missouri.
Do I have a motion adopting this resolution?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Staff report from Amanda.
Sir, we have Greg Loeffler and Bill Lucchini with Capstone Fast Track LLC here tonight to present a proposed affordable housing project located at the southeast corner of North Wildwood and Gretna.
Bill Lucchini with Capstone Development. Similar to Mr. Ring, we're applying for MHDC tax credits for a 40-unit family development there at the site that you can see there. So it's family. It's 16 units, a 3-bedroom, and the rest are 2-bedroom apartments, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. We're attempting to go to MHDC in the tax-exempt round of the 4% tax credit. So it's a little bit different than Mr. Ring's request in that we have to meet a minimum threshold in order to do a tax-exempt bond transaction to get this deal funded. And so there's a minimum threshold that requires city involvement, city support in order to have this thing move forward. So as you can see with the site there, is everybody familiar with the location? Yeah. So it is fairly flat for Branson, so we were kind of fortunate that way. So our closest development to this location is in Osage Beach, called Chandler Bay, if you want to look it up. So we've been in the affordable housing business for many, many years. Did my first deal with MHDC in 2001. So Greg and I are working on this as co-developers. So this will be an Energy Star rated community, and it'll also be net zero energy. It'll be solar powered. So the only thing that the tenants will have is just rent. Their utilities will be paid for. It's a 2-story walk-up building, 8 units per building.
There's a typical layout. For the 2-bedroom, it's 1,032 square feet. 3-bedroom is there. And then there'll be a separate clubhouse where the management office and maintenance workers will work out of. So again, the application is September 18th, and so we're asking the council for their approval and support. Goes a long way that the city does support it. It's not mandatory, but it shows kind of involvement that we presented to the city, we brought it to the city, we talked to the city staff and went over it, and it went through the open for business process, which was very helpful. So with that, I'll answer any questions.
Does the board have any questions or comments? Glenn?
You mentioned that it has its own electric generation, so is there solar involved here, or what's the plan?
Yeah, it'd be solar powered.
Can you show that, where that is on your plan?
We can get you a plan with the solar on it. It's be on the rooftops.
Oh, it's all rooftop?
Yeah, it's all rooftop.
Okay.
Yeah. So to Mr. Ring's comment about the competitiveness, he really, if you look at the downstate awards, it's really 18% are funded. If you count, the St. Louis and Kansas City, that makes up 30%, but it's really more competitive at 18%. So we're hoping to get the tax exempt bond approval with 4% credit. And I think we'll meet the minimum threshold of points should we get the support.
Any other questions from the board? Questions, comments from the audience? Board, you ready to vote? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it. Thank you, Bill.
Appreciate the support.
Thanks, Greg.
Your Honor, this is the first reading of Bill Number 6474, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a developer agreement with Capstone Fast Track LLC for the Sunset Ridge development.
You've heard the first reading of Bill Number 6474. Do I have a motion approving this bill?
So moved.
We have motion and a second. Staff report from Kendall. Hello, Kendall.
Hello. The purpose of this agreement is to create a private-public partnership to expand the existing public sewer main system to properties north and west of Tanger Outlet to a usable location. The agreement includes a reimbursement for up to $20,000 for 8-inch sewer pipe material for the developer to extend a public sewer main for the development. Staff recommends approval.
Any questions, comments from the board? Holly, do you have anything? Any questions, comments from the audience? Board, you ready to vote? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes
Thank
have
you.
it. Thank you, Kendall.
Your Honor, the next item is a resolution of the Board of Aldermen of the City of Branson, Missouri, stating facts and reasons for the necessity to amend and increase the fiscal year 2024 budget for the Tourism Fund.
Do I have a motion adopting this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We'll get a staff report from Colby.
Okay, Colby, you're in the meeting, and you can unmute and turn on your video if you so choose.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Board. I'm here to present on the resolution before you. Every year, the city sets aside the prior year's surplus of 25% of the marketing portion of the tourism fund. Typically, this set aside portion is made available for marketing after the audit is finished for the prior fiscal year. This budget amendment is releasing the remainder of the available tourism dollars from 2023 appropriations for marketing purposes after the city's audit is complete. The attached amendment makes available $194,190 to be used for marketing expenses in 2024.
That's it. Any members of the board have any questions or comments? Anybody in the audience? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it.
Your Honor, this is the first reading of Bill Number 6475, an ordinance amending the adopted 2024 budget for the City of Branson to adjust monies in the Tourism Fund.
You've heard the first reading of Bill Number 6475. Do I have a motion approving this bill?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Colby, what say you? Uh-oh. Oh, the ordinance, okay. Any member of the board have any questions, comments? Anybody in the audience? Board, let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it.
Your Honor, the next item is a resolution repealing resolution number 2024-R036 and ending the declaration of a need to address developments proposing data centers and cryptocurrency mining centers in the city of Branson, and thus ending the 100-day administrative delay of applications and permits pertaining to the development of data centers and cryptocurrency mining centers located in the city of Branson, Missouri.
Do I have a motion adopting this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, and a report from Amanda.
Thank you. Chad, can you bring up my PowerPoint, please? Okay. The city extends its sincere appreciation to everyone who provided valuable input in the development of this ordinance. I'd also like to personally thank my planning team and the city attorney for their dedication and hard work in bringing this ordinance to completion. Bill number 6472 passed on August 16th, 2024. Here we have the moratorium timeline. Staff has worked diligently to expedite the process in response to the Board of Aldermen's request. We're glad to report we are ahead of schedule. Staff supports lifting the administrative delay to enable any entity interested in developing a data center or cryptocurrency mining center to apply for the necessary special use permits.
So basically, we put on the moratorium. During that period of time, we passed an ordinance, and so we no longer need that remaining time of the...
That is correct, sir.
So any questions from the board? Any questions, comments from the audience? Ralph, did you have something?
Yeah, I just, this was a heavier lift than it appeared. It really was. I mean, the level of time and effort that it took for our city staff to get their feet underneath this thing, and what's interesting is they did it. And they did it in a timely way and did it in a professional way. And I think, it may not be perfect, but it's really, really good. It's really, really good. And, my hope is that the effort that they put in can be a template for other communities to follow because, they'll definitely, some other communities will be definitely, want to put these things in place. And I think that's why we jumped and did what we did because it's always better to be on offense, and this was an example of us being on offense and not being reactive to situations, but really taking the time and effort that we needed in order to get something not just done, but done correctly. And so kudos to city staff for all that you did, Kathy, city attorney, and everyone on the board that participated in this. Thank you all, because it was definitely a lot more work than people realized. So.
Well, you're right, Ralph. In fact, I thought it was very appreciative, Amanda, when you first came and asked for the 100 days, so you could do the proper amount of work. And I know there was hundreds of hours put into this ordinance. This board knows it, and the board really, really appreciate what you've done. And the final product, I agree, it may not be perfect, but I'll tell you, it's given a great shot.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Any other members of the board have any comments? Anybody in the audience? Let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it.
Your Honor, the next item is a resolution approving a special event permit for the 51st Autumn Days Arts, Crafts, and Music Festival.
Do I have a motion adopting this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Staff report from Amanda.
Thank you. All right. The city has received an application from Jessica Luthart, representing the Downtown Branson Betterment Association, for a special event, the 51st Annual Autumn Days. The event is scheduled to take place from September 7th through the 21st, with an estimated attendance of approximately 10,000 guests. This is, according to our code, classified as a Level 3 event. This is an aerial view of the location. We'll zoom in a little bit. It's in the same location that it has been since they've begun this event. The site plan that was provided indicates temporary street closures on Commercial Street, spanning from East Main Street to just north of Atlantic Street. The board has expressed interest in considering an alternative location. The city has held internal meetings with staff from various departments and engaged in discussions with the DBBA and downtown business owners about potential alternative locations for this event and future events. Here on the screen, the box that is red is indicating the current location on the application. The alternate location recommended is the blue box. We'll drill in a little bit, get a little closer to that. We have identified an alternative plan which closes Commercial Street at Pacific and College, as well as closing Pacific Street at Commercial and Veterans. Additionally, an entertainment tent could be set up at Liberty Plaza. Public Works Engineering has identified the water and electrical details for the alternative location as shown on this map. Jessica from the DBBA is here tonight and is available to answer any questions that you may have regarding the 51st Annual Autumn Days special event.
Kathy?
Jessica, before you come up, thank you, Amanda. Yes. So everyone listening tonight knows that this has been a topic for a lot of years about many business owners like having the festivals where they've been notoriously, is it 50 years? Longer than I've been alive. And and I just want everybody to know that we've heard the concerns and we've really been working hard to try and come up with an alternate that would work best for everybody that's been involved. It takes a lot of time to put all those different pieces together, and we've been in conversations with Jessica, who's here tonight, to be able to speak to her permit application tonight to keep it in the regularly located place. But I don't want the board or the public to think that we have just pushed aside their concerns about looking at viable alternatives. That's why I wanted Amanda to lay out what the alternate is. But the timeline was just too crunched to be able to do it yet for this year's permit or festival dates. And so obviously the rest is going to be up to your conversation tonight. And I just wanted to assure everybody we've heard you and we're acting. Thank you.
Thank you. Jessica?
Are there any questions for me, or do you just
He
want me
does.
to say something?
Yeah, go ahead and share.
Sorry.
It's okay.
We have submitted the application for the same location. As Administrator Stepp has said, we've worked on other locations. We did have a public meeting at City Hall here where a couple of locations were suggested, such as the landing parking lot and the convention center south lot. And I have been in discussions with both of those administrators, and they are not available to us for this year. There are some questions about the parking that is taken up with Albury parking lot, where we've had the festival for now at least 13, 15 years. I know that at one point it was down at where the landing now is, but it has been up here for many, many years. And the main concern, it seemed, that the businesses, or one of the major concerns that the businesses brought up, was the parking. We did note in the discussion with the city that there are some differences that may want to be considered for moving the festival to Liberty Plaza, and that is right now, the way that Autumn Days is set up, we try and make a very small footprint. And if I may just correct that Amanda, bless her, she had said that it was the September 7th through the 21st, and it's not, it's the 17th, yeah. And so I just wanted to make that clear. It sounded really long when that was said. But we try and make our footprint as compact as possible to still have that event in Albury and in front of Commercial Street. Currently, the way the festival is set up, it does occupy 88 parking spaces total between Commercial and Albury parking lot. And we take up the parking in front of 6 of our downtown businesses total. Now, of those 6 downtown businesses, 3 have their own private lot, parking lot, which is totally accessible all days, including setup day and everything. So they're never impacted, those private parking lots. With the proposed move to Liberty Plaza and Commercial Street and Pacific, we would be taking up 110 parking spaces for that new location. And we're also, in order to get the food trucks for the festival, we would be putting them on Pacific Street. We'd have to block off Pacific. That's the only access for the higher amperage and water that's required. We would be blocking off the 21 spaces for the private lot for Peddler Pete's down there. So that would impact 132 parking spaces. We also have a couple of businesses. There are 16 businesses that would be directly impacted with parking in front of their business down on that end, including, I know we have the church on the corner of College and Pacific Street, I'm sorry, College and Commercial Street, and their Wednesday night service attendance would be impacted for parking. And also we have 2 theaters down there. We have the Historic Owen Theater with the Branson Regional Arts Council. They have a show that is running during Autumn Days. And the Branson Hot Hits Theater also has shows that are running nightly there. And we close the festival at 6 o'clock, so we give time. That was part of the plan of the festival, was so that visitors could go to shows in the evening. We have tremendous economic impact with the vendors that come in, with over 115 vendors last year. They not only stay in our hotel and lodging here in town, but they'll stay a week, many of the vendors, because they want to enjoy Branson while they're here. They eat out at our restaurants, and they attend shows and other entertainment. So they have a big impact just on the vendors themselves. So what I am asking for the board is if you would, and especially because we're 3 weeks away, if you would please let us go ahead and continue to have it this year. And we're working very diligently. We will get it moved and work on what that is. But the vendors that have already signed up for since over a year ago, they've already signed up for a certain space. And it would be very, harsh to say, oh, we're pulling it 3 weeks beforehand, now I have to tell you we're moving it. I wouldn't be able to put up a big tent in the Liberty Plaza or in Commercial Street or Pacific, because the streetscape had the roads relayed back down in concrete, and we can't stake into the ground. I know that Liberty Plaza has a tent stake anchors in the ground, but unfortunately, because of the sizing of it, they were only able to put in the anchors for a 20 by 40. Right now, currently, we use a 60 by 150 tent for the Albury. And so there's some vendors that we have them coming as far away right now as Minnesota, and they come and they don't want to drag their canopies and extraneous items, so they pay a little extra premium in order to be able to have their booth space under the big tent. There's better protection, and they don't have to set up, or they might be alone and don't want to have to deal with that. So we would not be able to provide that for them. And I would just like the opportunity to start afresh for 2025 and make sure that everybody's on the same page and knows what they're signing up for correctly, so that it doesn't negatively impact the festivals and our being able to put them on. I guess that would maybe be my plea, is that if we could just keep it again at Aubrey for this year.
Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you.
Anybody else in
Questions
the
for me?
audience have any questions or comments? Any members of the board? Yes.
So, help me, maybe Amanda, with this. So Jessica has a permit application for that location that she's talking about.
Correct.
Let's say we didn't want to deny her permit, but we perhaps wanted to move it. Do we make an amendment? How would?
It's just an internal process of the application. So we would put a new site plan with it, make sure that all of the departments are involved for the water, the barricades, everything that she would need.
Any other alderman? Glenn?
So when I first became an alderman, the mayor invited me to a meeting in this room along with Clay, and we listened to a number of downtown business people that were very concerned about the loss of parking versus the benefit returned. I personally am very disappointed that we come down to the last hour and no progress has been made in terms of seriously working out that venue being moved. I appreciate that our staff has all offered the alternatives, but I feel like we sit here with almost no choice on our hands. And frankly, when I hear that tickets and spaces were sold a year ago without a permit in hand, I find that very unsettling, because it basically presumes we have to approve it as it is. And I don't think that's appropriate. I think a better process should be followed. As much as I want to see this event continue, and I want to see it successful, and I appreciate all the work that goes into it, I just don't like being trapped as an alderman at the last minute and basically saying you've got no other choice. From my perspective, the best solution is to move it to the south parking lot of the convention center. Here again, I understand that because we waited to the last minute, that we possibly lost our chance to reserve that space for that use. I think that's free and clear space. You can easily stake tents down there just like we do in the Auberry parking lot and repair the blacktop afterwards. I think it does present some challenges in terms of infrastructure. They'd have to have generators, they'd have to have porta potties and some other things that they don't have to have in your other locations. But I actually believe it's a superior location. It makes it more visible. If anybody saw the Jeep event down there, I had many residents ask me what's going on down at that event. And that, to me, that signals a lot of people noticed it right from the landing, rather than having to come up into the downtown to discover the event there. So from my perspective, however this turns out tonight, I really don't want to hear this permit come back at the last minute again. If it happens again next year, I will vote against the permit completely, because I don't find this a palatable way for us as aldermen to make practical decisions on behalf of the city.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
when Alderman Schultz and I did our town part, of the issues that was brought up many times was parking. And I guess I'm a little bit concerned, as Glenn has already mentioned, but my concern is the idea that we would be shutting down 2 blocks of Commercial Street if we moved it to Liberty Park. And I'm not in favor of that.
Any other aldermen?
Sure. 27 years. I've watched Plum Nelly Days and the Fall Festival go on in that parking lot for 27 years. In 27 years, there's always been a parking problem downtown. This is nothing new. It's not some shining beam of light from anywhere. It's always been an issue. But Autumn Days and Plum Nelly Days have been in that parking lot for 27 years. My office, my back window where my desk was set out, and I used to watch it over the weekend. And the idea of like moving locations, you know, I'd say that's something to investigate. Wow. You know, we talk about faith, family, flag, fun. How about tradition? You know, how about, you know, I come from South Louisiana where festivals were the core of gathering for the community and where everybody came and met and you know, did the things. They rode Ferris wheels. They rode, you know, the scrambler. Man, I want to operate one of those things just one time. Funnel cakes, popcorn, you know, kids running around. I mean, it was, you know, earlier this year we talked about this when we issued the permit for Plum Valley Days. We knew it was an issue, and we as a board, we talked about discussing, like, where could it be relocated? Is it feasible to be relocated? You know, Albury was when it was redone, the infrastructure was redone to support this festival, because that's where it's always been. It's not it's not anything new. 51 years. Plum Nelly Days, 57 years. Like, we're not talking about something that's just been going on a year or two. And when I think of tradition and we want more people downtown, I mean, festivals invite people. You know, if it were me and people would love the idea, I'd block off all the streets and just make the whole downtown a festive thing where the businesses could, you know, actually take their inside and bring it outside and let people walk through their wares and basically do the same thing and just be just a whole festive area. The idea of moving it this year, I think, is a little obtuse. I mean, it just seems like logistically it'd be a nightmare for, you know, it's in the name, the Downtown Branson Betterment Association. It's not the Downtown Branson Basher other businesses. In fact, on the website, or in her announcement, she actually mentions the best mom and pop shops in downtown Branson. Not only do you come to the festival, but you also get to experience the best mom and pop shops in downtown Branson. To me, that sounds like someone that's not just promoting her festival, but promoting all of downtown, which that's what that task force has been tasked to do, and that's what I feel that she's doing in this in her literature. Man, I honestly would hate to see it moved, because I just remember the last 27 years of it being there, and I think it's an amazing. You know, I've had clients in my past that have had booths at those locations, which started out at the Plum Nelly Days and the Fall Festival. And then they went on tour and they did other festivals because they did so well there, and people from other states invited them to go to their festivals. And the next thing you know, they build a whole entrepreneurial business around these little marionette puppet things, you know, and it's like, it was amazing to see that. So I got to see that, and that was just inspiring to me. How many states do you have represented this year?
I believe I have 8 or 9 states that are represented.
That'll be represented.
At the
and you know, and so here's the inorganic thing, or I'm sorry, the organic things that happen because those 7 or 8 states have booths here. They put on their social media, hey, I'm in Branson, look at this I mean, you know, this is just organic, just promoting of our city. It's promoting we don't have to pay for. But it's done in a way that people will see the values in the festival that we have. They'll see that faith, family, flag, and fun all through that festival, because I know when I've walked through it and talked to vendors, that's what I feel. And I go down there at least one day during the festivals just to have that experience. So I'm going to shut up now. I'm the nostalgic about this. I'm just saying.
Marshall?
Can I say I agree with Glenn and I agree with Ralph with what they said. I just remember, I mean, things change. I mean, whether we like it or not, things move and people's businesses change and their ideals change and people are affected differently 10 years down the road than they are now, and that's just life. I remember the meeting we had, what, a month or two back, or when did we have the big meeting when all the downtown businesses came? And
I think it was in May.
April.
April?
was it? And I felt like it was overwhelming against it being in this location. If I remember correctly, it was heavily, this is affecting our businesses in a negative way. There was a few that spoke in favor of keeping it there. So that's how this all kind of came up, you know, and for me, it's hard to ignore the concerns of those businesses that are there 5, 6, 7 days a week, year round.
Yeah.
And I think the festivals are fantastic. I agree with Ralph on that. But if there's a way to move it so that the vendors that come in to make money for 4 days out of the year versus the ones that are here trying to make money for 12 months and everybody can be happy, then why wouldn't we do that? And I understand we're against the wall and there's not a lot of time, but where is that happy medium? Because I'm for festivals, but I'm also for the local businesses that are here year round. Yeah. And I can't not listen to that either. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So
I'm going to follow up with that. The meeting that we had a town hall meeting. And Ralph, you painted a great picture because I can taste the waffle cones and a corn dog. Cotton candy, no candy apples. But unfortunately, you weren't at the meeting that Clay and I and Alderman Schultz were at. We heard from 20 businesses downtown that shared with us that they felt this festival negatively affected their business. We all want festivals. We all want to bring more people to downtown. But like Clay said, I mean, you have to listen to how it's affecting our businesses. And Jessica, when you were at this meeting and you got to hear all the businesses share their issues, did you reach out to any of them and try to find some middle ground between now and then? Because I feel like we're just pushed up against a wall to say, well, the businesses complained, you're here to vote.
We as a board, the DBBA, we did go around to the businesses, all businesses downtown, not specifically to those, but we went around to each business along Main and Commercial. And then I did walk around also with Alderman Lucas and Alderman Schultz. And we found that there are positively impacted businesses as well financially. It's difficult. There is a division around downtown between them, and there are people who don't want to speak up in favor. They just aren't confrontational, and they have said that they'll write letters. I think some of them have written letters, but I definitely have some of the businesses that will give you detailed information about their receipts and how they did increase during the festivals, that it did bring extra business to them. So it's difficult because I want to make sure, and that's why we were working for alternative information and locations, and that's why we have been working on that since those meetings, since the Board of Aldermen meeting where you approved the Plumnelly days. We've been working on it. The only thing that I was asking is if we could, keep it the same for this year, because it just wasn't enough time to get everything changed. And we did look at the locations that were suggested, all the locations that were suggested.
If it was at Liberty Plaza, it would be, because Liberty Plaza has tent tie-downs, right? Liberty Plaza has,
They just have the one tent tie down for 40 by 20.
okay?
Yeah,
And they have the water, and they have the sewer, and they have electric.
that's
So-
in Pacific Street.
Okay.
Yes.
So that location may require a smaller festival. Maybe there can't be 130, but there would be more of a manageable festival that wouldn't cause these businesses the grief.
And if I could just clarify, are you talking about keep it in Liberty Plaza totally?
No,
Okay.
and Pacific.
And we can use Pacific and commercial? Yes, there's viability there, and we're definitely looking at doing that, absolutely.
Okay, well, I need to share disappointment that when we had this ruckus, and I agree with you, there's a lot of people that don't want to cause waves. So I don't think this issue just popped up overnight. I think it's been brewing and brewing, and this year, there were a couple brave souls that chose to stand up and say, this, we don't like this, and then they were joined by others, but I think it's been building over time. And I know we can't go back in the past, but I really wished, there were 20-something businesses here. I really wished you would have reached out and said, share with me what your concern is, here's what our plan is there something we can do, versus let's wait until 3 weeks before the event, and I'm going to ask for my permit to be approved with no changes.
If I may just address
Sure.
that, since Alderman Schultz brought it up, the process that we were under is that you have to submit your permit request 90 days prior to your event. We were in so many discussions for if we had to move it or not, but I did submit it timely, 90 days out. So it's just because the city has been working on this issue with us that it's come to the Board of Aldermen meeting today.
And you felt empowered to start collecting money, selling spaces, giving vendors specific locations, advertising it, and making commitments,
Yes.
right?
Yes, sir.
Without a permit,
Yes, sir.
right?
Yes, I've been doing it since 2013, and I really felt like, based on the Alderman meeting that we had for Plum Nelly Days, it sounded like I was going to be able to move forward for this year, and that we were really going to look at moving it for 2025.
Is that what you heard from the businesses when we had our meeting?
That's what I heard at their Board of Aldermen meeting, that it seemed to be, that we would be able to rely on that. But
Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Marshall, I'm sorry, Marshall?
Okay, okay, Amanda, I apologize. I'm still just a tad bit confused. Am I to understand that, when city staff makes a motion towards us, city staff recommends something for approval? So am I to understand city staff is recommending we move this, and a yes vote means it's moved?
No, it doesn't mean that. And things that are brought before you aren't always, supported isn't the right word, but advocated for by city staff. There's many times that there's aldermen that bring us things, and then we work out the mechanics and put the proposed bill and the language together for you all to contemplate and to approve or deny. That's really what we're doing here.
I see. So my comment is this. Hearing everything that Glenn is saying and everything that Clay and the mayor are saying, yeah, there were 20 businesses that came down and opposed the location of the festival. I had one business call me about this. They were in support of the location of the festival. So there's at least one business, and I venture to guess there's probably more than one. I don't have a tally of who's for it and who's against it. My imagination is that Jessica knew there was this was a contentious issue, and probably felt that at some point it would be decided on by the Board of Aldermen. We never made an official decision. And so that's my issue at this point. The aldermen never voted to say, we're officially going to move this festival. And so, you know, it seems that 3 weeks out, I understand, but I mean, a lot of these vendors, you probably have to have a year or 9 months out to book them out so that they can make plans. So I'm understanding the other side saying that you should have been a little bit more prepared, you should have already moved it, but in my estimation, it was a contentious issue whether it was going to be moved or not. So perhaps, Jessica, you were waiting for the final decision on whether that was going to have to be moved or not. There was never a decision from the board that said we're absolutely going to be moving this. You need to adjust accordingly. It was more of a discussion. Now, granted, that night, we had quite a bit more opposed to your location than not, but that wasn't a decision from the Board of Aldermen. And so I'm understanding what Glenn and everyone is saying. Boy, I would venture, if we held everybody to that standard, if we held the Veterans Parade to that standard, or the Adoration Parade, I bet they book floats before they have a permit that's approved by the city of Branson, because you might have 20 businesses on the other side, but you have the infrastructure that was put in Auberry on your side, and you have 26 years of precedent on your side as well, let alone the other businesses that might support you. So I'm understanding that, trying to understand both sides. At this point, I'm leaning towards a yes vote for the original location this year, and then understanding what you're saying, Jessica, that we could get it moved for next year.
Ruth?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree with Alderman Howden and with Dr. Ralph, only 1,000% with Dr. Ralph, except I'm not from Louisiana, so. But Jessica has stated that they are working to have a different location for next year. Making a change right now is like trying to change wedding plans in 3 weeks. It is a very difficult thing to do, and they have set precedents with people probably book the minute they leave for the following year. They've been coming here for years. I'm very supportive of allowing it to continue where it is now for this year, and then to have changes made, but for everyone to be aware, everybody to be on the same page of where it will be for next year, so proper planning can take place.
Artie?
Jessica, when you contacted the convention center about the potential availability of their parking area for this year, they told you it wasn't available.
Correct.
Did you ask them at that time if it would be available for next year's Plum Nelly Days and the Fall Festival?
I did not. The person that I needed to speak with, she's in a conference, and so David and Meredith were the ones helping me. So for this year and letting me know what was going on at the convention center during the festival dates that we had. So, but I would be happy. I've already left a message with Ashley and Jordan to be able to do that.
Well, I think that if in fact we do determine to leave it this year, that you contact them
Yes.
about having it there next year, both of the festivals.
Okay.
And see what you can find out, because I think that I would agree that I'm not opposed to it being moved. I have a real problem with it being moved to where we're going to close up part of Commercial Street, because that's what we've been talking about, why we didn't want to move it, or why we did want to move it was because we didn't want to do away with parking. But we're going to take up 2 blocks of Commercial Street, and I just don't see that that's a benefit.
Well, really, I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, when you look at that map, we're helping the concerned business owners that were here that night and just moving it on down and going to block I mean, we're helping them, and then so we're just kind of moving the problem and letting other people that don't usually have the problem one more year. You know what I'm saying? Huh? We're shifting the problem. Mm-hmm. Well, no, go.
Glenn?
Yeah, so as I said, I agree with Artie's observation there. My concern is we are just shifting the problem with this, and I appreciate that staff has worked on this because I think even Alderman Lucas and I asked you to work on this as an alternative and supported this notion, but it's grown to the size where I think we're shifting the problem and potentially creating a series of new problems. My preference, I'll just say it again, is the south parking lot of the convention center. It's the most logical place. It's the most visible place. You've actually got more room there than any of the others, and you don't close a single street. To me, that just speaks volumes. So what I want to hear, Jessica, is that you're not pre-selling tickets for next year to be back at Auberry Park, and that you're telling your vendors it is going to move next year.
Yes, I won't do this again, yes. I'm not for this kind of stress of having the situation where we're this close to the event.
Take reservations, though. We want them to come back, just take reservations.
You're right, yeah, exactly.
So,
I'll understand.
so that's not available, because that is the obvious location.
Yeah. So there's a convention during that time?
It's, they have several groups. They have the Municipal League with over 800 people. They have a Christian young people's thing that has, I think she said, over 700. They've got a couple smaller groups that they've got with a high school group. There's a real estate.
That's okay.
Yeah, there's, she was listing them, yes,
Hey,
sir.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
The good thing is the convention center's busy.
Yeah, no,
if you know
that's
it or
great
not, it's
news.
busy.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll do that at the next report for them.
And that parking lot behind Momo's is not an option.
It is sold to the,
It's sold to
full
the,
throttle.
yeah,
Oh,
full
yeah.
throttle box.
Full Throttle has said multiple times that they hope to partner with the city to provide that RV area and save it off for assisting with festivals, et cetera.
Okay, we need it in about
What about
3
a
weeks.
parking garage? Did they mention a parking garage?
And I did reach out to them as well.
But maybe, with that being said, Mr. Mayor, maybe one thing that we could do and ask for to help relieve some of this is maybe they'd allow us to open it up for parking. There is some paving in there. We got to move their barriers and push some garbage out of the way. And it's not perfect, but if we could get 50 spots in there or so, I think that would help relieve our temporary problem.
Kathy, who would ask them that? Holly? You? Alex?
This is, well, it's awkward. I mean, it shouldn't, I'm just saying how it is. I can't see someone from the city that it would be appropriate for the city to
So,
ask that. It's a
Jessica.
private event.
Jessica, would you reach out to the Full Throttle people and ask them for just those days if that could be additional parking?
Absolutely.
Okay? Yeah, I think I have. Is anybody here that would like to speak? Sorry, sir, do you have a booth of 10? Wait a minute, you have a phone booth, right?
Do they sell comic books there?
Phone booth.
Okay. Just a suggestion for the next year. I don't know if you want to move it completely away from downtown, but I think the shops at Branson Meadows has adequate parking facilities. I think the businesses would love to have this type of festival there, and it could be promoted. There's plenty of space, and it's level, flat, and so forth, and all the businesses would enjoy it. So the shops at Branson Meadows, I think, would like to have it there in the future, and I do not represent them. So, all right, thank you.
Thanks. I think the intent was we really want to do everything we can to increase the traffic for downtown. Yeah. Any other aldermen?
Man, I'm just kind of torn up on this, really. Because all I heard that night
I know.
was
So by,
95%, please don't put it here again.
yeah.
If they know that we're trying to get their concern addressed, I don't think that one more year will put them out of business.
And I think Marshall tried to make a point of this. Like earlier, when we approved the permit for Plumnelly Days, we had, as a board, agreed that if there was an alternative location, that we would have some input into that. City staff's been looking at that. You know, this is the first time the board readdresses this issue since that last conversation. So, but it was before Glenn and Artie had come on. So this wasn't anything that we hadn't kind of made a commitment to addressing and taking care of. You know, honestly, I think we, as the board, probably dropped the ball a little bit and didn't kind of stay in front of it as much as we probably should have. But I guarantee you that'll be done now. So, yeah, I'm nostalgic. I don't know if y'all know it or not.
Kathy?
So, with all due respect, Ralph, the board didn't drop the ball on anything here. It's just, honestly, it's been a matter of bandwidth. I'm just going to lay it out for you. I mean, city staff, the amount of giant capital projects that we are going through, planning, engineering, design, there is so much heavy lifting that's going on right now across the city that to think we could come up with solving a case of indigestion that's been going on for, I don't know how long the indigestion's been going on, 20 years about it, and to be able to do that in 3 or 4 months with, when you look at all the different controversial issues we've had to dive into the deep end on, I don't want to sound like I'm making excuses, but we do have to triage. You know, we only have so much bandwidth with our staff here, legal counsel, utilities, public works, law enforcement, fire. They're almost planning, almost every department in City Hall has to do with festivals. So it's a big deal to get everybody around the table when they're dealing on data center legislation and all the different things that we're spinning at one time. So I'm asking for the understanding that, no, we weren't able to get this done right after the new alderman came on, but we've made significant headway that's never been done before. So I just want to remind everybody, we've done some really good research and investigating, and also to remember that there's not going to be a perfect solution. And before we offer a solution for the board to consider, we're going to have more study sessions where the public comes in and looks at the proposed plans so that we can get all of the voices in the room. And I would challenge that meeting that we had before was heavy weighted on the moving of the festivals, but there was very little outreach to people in general who might have felt very differently. So I'm about an open, transparent, inclusive process, and we make sure that we're communicating it to the whole city, because just because you don't have a business there doesn't mean you don't absolutely love and care about the festivals there. Just like you're seeing with the representatives here tonight, they all care deeply about this. So my commitment, to wrap it up, is to continue the work that we're doing internally to the best of our bandwidth. And I'd like to see, I don't think it's too aggressive to say by the end of the year that we'll have something after some public input to be able to bring to the board.
Ralph, I also had no less than 10 meetings on this topic since then, so.
No, I understand. And to Kathy, to your point, like, I absolutely understand the bandwidth issue. I mean, you know, you just heard what I said about the data mining thing, because I understand the number of hours, and that's just one issue. And you talk about capital projects, and not just getting capital projects on the books, but operating and getting them done, and done on time, and done under budget. Like, that's what other communities miss. We have a staff of people that far and above think about your money like it's their own. In fact, I think they think about your money better than their own, because they do everything they can to make all these projects that we do come in under budget. Michael Woods, Kendall, all these departments back here, these guys are studying the numbers. They know the numbers inside out, upside down, and backwards. They can quote them to you verbatim. That's what I love about this community, and that's what I love about this staff. And, you know, so I'm not making light of that at all. I guess if anything, it should have been incumbent on me as an alderman when this thing came up, before it became a huge issue, was me to get with Artie and Glenn and have that conversation that we had earlier in the year, because they weren't present on that. And that's really more of what I'm saying about that, is that I should have probably reached out to them across the way and go like, hey, we talked about this earlier. We know it's an issue. We do want to find a solution, not just for the businesses, but for everyone, for the festival planner and everyone. And I think we could come to that. I mean, we got a great community. I guarantee you there's somebody who owns property that would love to have our festival on it and wouldn't complain about it one bit, you know?
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Glenn?
Just briefly, Kathy, I appreciate your comments, and I also appreciate the general sentiment of all that. But I do want to say I'm challenged to say that this is the city's problem. When a festival organizer wants to have a festival in our city, I think a good deal of this homework is incumbent on the festival organizers, period. The city shouldn't have to break every leg, tie up every department head, have the mayor in 10 meetings, have 2 aldermen looking at issues when it's somebody's festival. Now, do we want to support it? Absolutely. Absolutely. Artie and I demonstrated that with our full walk of downtown and talking with the merchants. We want to make this happen, and we want to make it a successful event. But we have to push some of this back to the people that are asking for the event to do their homework, come up with alternatives, and present them to the city, and not just say, I've got one parking lot and that's it. It's got to be in that parking lot, because that's what's happened in this case. And I find that unpalatable. We've got to push back to permit requesters to say, you've got to come up with the alternatives, and you've got to justify them, not our city staff.
Glenn, that's a very good point. In fact, the festival organizer, it's really behooving on them to also get the blessing from the businesses that their festival is going to affect, right? So, is there anything, are we ready to go to vote? Let's vote. All.
Can we just clarify what the vote is?
Yes. A yes vote is to approve Autumn Days to be located at Aubrey Park where it's been last year. Okay, yes vote is Aubrey Park. So, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
Can we do a roll call vote, please?
Lucas?
No.
Denham?
Yes.
Cooper?
No.
Howden?
Yes.
LeBlanc?
Yes.
Schultz?
Yes.
The result of the vote is 4-2, the noes being Alderman Lucas and Cooper. Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Jessica. Can we take a break?
Your Honor, this is the first reading of bill.
Hold it,
No,
hold it,
just kidding.
hold it, hold it. I
Sorry.
was gonna take a short recess break.
I was ready.
I know, but other times. I'm sorry?
Mr. Brunson? Mr. Brunson? We're up here. I just wanted to, I don't know if people are aware of who Mr. Brunson is. He and his 3 brothers who play the trumpet have also been standing up for our country and the election from 2020, and they have been fighting diligently. I believe, I've been following your case, and I believe it's now at the Supreme Court, and we're waiting. This gentleman is a fighter for our rights in this country, our voting rights, and I wanted him to be recognized. He and his brothers are amazing, amazing men. Thank you.
I call this meeting back to order. Hill, what you got?
Your Honor, this is the first reading of Bill Number 6476, an ordinance approving the public service agreement with Branson Veterans Task Force supporting the Avenue of Freedom flag display and authorizing the mayor to execute the agreement.
You've heard the first reading of Bill 6476. Do I have a motion approving this bill?
Second.
We have a motion and a second and a staff report from your Honorable Bob Smith.
Thank you. Bob Smither, representing the Branson Veterans Task Force. So this bill, in essence, what this bill does is seeking city's approval for us to change the location of the flags on Gretna Avenue of Freedom from the light poles that go down the center of the median, where they're super high and you can only get to them with a bucket truck. Move them to the, I guess it would be the east side of the roadway, where we have city-owned street lights that go up and down that section of the avenue. And so for the past couple of years, well, let me just back up. So the Branson Veterans Task Force has been maintaining flags on Gretna Avenue since 2001, when an ordinance was put forth calling it the Avenue of Freedom. And so off and on, it's been about 82 flags, give or take one or two, that we put up usually around April, flies to at least through Veterans Day, so sometime after Veterans Day they would come down. In the last couple of years, it's been a little bit challenging because of the fact that you can only reach those flags with a bucket truck. So in that process, and the city staff was very helpful of helping us put the flags up and take the flags down. But then ultimately you would put them all up, and then the next windstorm comes by. Now you've got a couple of flags here and there that don't look so well, and they're hanging by a thread. And that is not the way to honor the American flag, let them fly like that. And so in order to get to that flag, you need to schedule the bucket truck. And good luck if you can get it in 2 weeks, because that truck is very scheduled out with city staff. So it became a challenge. And to try to avoid all the phone calls that we all get when those flags don't look well. And believe you me, we've got a group of individuals at the task force that are, I might say, zealous about making sure that the flag is displayed properly. Only your hands are tied when I don't own a bucket truck and can't go running up there. Not only that, to use that truck, there are some safety concerns with that and the roadway, and you're blocking off one lane of the roadway when you're doing those, on and on. So we tried to come up with an alternative and started brainstorming of how can we keep this avenue going and be able to tend to the American flag the way it ought to be. And so our idea was to just use the city streetlights. So we, with permission from our public works staff, we've been flying a flag on one of those streetlights for a few months now just to see how it would go and make sure that you could get it high enough that it can't be bothered. As kind of a test fly, and it seems to have worked out. The brackets that were used on the other light poles can be modified, and so the idea is to put them on the city street light poles. So it's pretty much almost the same agreement that's been in play for over 2 decades. This bill just changes the location and allows us onto the city right away to tend to the flags that way. So the idea is, we see a flag that needs help, we have the appropriate ladder, we can get to that flag same day and fix it, and we move on so that the flag is continuously displayed in the honorable way it should be. And the phone calls will stop. So now, over this, so we did, probably many noticed that the flags were not put up on on the same poles this year just because of this challenge. And now we receive phone calls, why are the flags not up? So you're gonna get, why are the flags looking horrible? And now why are the flags not up? So this is our proposed solution as we continue to brainstorm and maybe come up with even a better idea down the road on maintaining the Avenue of Freedom. So those flags are flown in honor of all veterans, all first responders of all wars, and especially the 9/11 attack. That's where that started. And so our group does want to continue to maintain those flags. We're able to do it. We're just seeking the approval to use the city streetlights versus the big light poles down the median. And that's what this bill would do.
So Bob, when I first heard this, I was disappointed being involved with having those removed because the veterans felt it was disgraceful. And I thought that was going to be the end of it. And with some research, I discovered James Jewsbury came up with this solution. So James, if you're listening, I salute you. It's an excellent solution. The flags will now be high enough where they're going to be out of the way, nobody can grab them, but with a ladder, we can get them fixed. I think that's an excellent, excellent solution. Does any alderman have any comments or questions?
It's a no-brainer.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, Bob, why haven't the flags been up?
Well,
No,
I needed your approval.
yeah, he needs, so with approval, when can we see them up?
Well, with this approval, we plan a work day to finish modifying all the brackets so that we can get them put up, and we would hope to have them up clearly by the end of September, if not before.
End of September, this is only August.
Yeah, well, it's the last week of August.
Okay, very appreciative. Any other comments from the board?
I just have a quick question. How many flags will go up total?
Well, there are 60 poles, and that's one thing our board needs to decide if we use every pole or if we go every other one. So potentially it could be every other one, or it might be all of them, so that we'll be represented from one end to the other of where the streetlights are located.
What would determine that, if it's every one or every other? Is it a finance deal?
No, not necessarily, so.
Becky said, yeah. Huh? Well, I'm only asking because I think it would be more impressive for every single pole.
Sure.
And if I need to make some calls and get donations and volunteers, I'd be glad to do both of those and gather some people. So let me know, Becky, if you want to talk about that.
So this will be a conditional approval. Just saying.
And by the way, one of the programs that we do, it doesn't pay for itself, but one of the programs that we do is that a person can sponsor a flag in honor or memory of a veteran or first responder. And right now we have that fee at $100. You can sponsor a flag, and you will get that flag, or you'll get a nice flag. You'll get a flag that was flown on the Avenue of Freedom at the end of the year if you've sponsored. And you can even send a photo of the person you're honoring or memorializing, and we'll put it on our website under that section of our website having to do with the Avenue of Freedom. So that's that, and we always get a few of those every year. So
we're going to get more because I didn't. You get with me and we'll get that out,
Yeah.
Becky.
And I would like to sponsor one for Gary Luttrell, so you can put that in
Okay.
the books.
Bob, here's another one for you.
okay.
Okay. So this turned into a little fundraiser.
It's awesome.
Okay, so are we ready to vote? Let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 I dare anybody to oppose it. Any nays?
Nope. Your Honor, I move to read Bill number 6476 for its final reading because Bob's got to get busy in the morning.
Second.
Putting flags up.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. So we're going to vote on having a second read. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it. Madam Clerk, would you read this again?
Your Honor, this is the final reading of Bill Number 6476, an ordinance approving the public service agreement with Branson Veterans Task Force supporting the Avenue of Freedom flag display and authorizing the mayor to execute the agreement.
So you've heard the final reading of Bill Number 6476. Do I have a motion approving this bill?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments? Let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Actually, can we do a roll call on that one?
Oh, it's second read. We need a roll call.
Lucas?
So Lucas, Ruth, Clay, Marshall, Ralph.
Absolutely, yes.
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 Ralph?
I love it. Yeah, got it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Bob.
Your Honor, this is the first reading of Bill Number 6477, an ordinance approving the amendment with CDBG for the Compton Drive wastewater treatment plant flood proofing for a scope and environmental review amendment for the purchase and installation of 3 generators and authorizing the mayor to execute the documents related thereto.
You've heard the first reading of Bill 6477. Do I have a motion approving this bill?
Second.
Motion second. We'll hear from Kendall.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the board, administrators, staff. The ordinance would allow the mayor to execute the documents necessary to amend the existing grants for Compton Drive wastewater treatment flood proofing project to include the installation of emergency backup generators. A minor environmental review is included as part of the request. If approved, we'll be utilizing existing grant dollars to make the purchase that is estimated at $1.3 million. The staff recommends approval, and if approved, we are asking for a double read as the project is wrapping up completion.
So this is $1.3 million for 3 generators for Compton, and it falls within the grant that we've already received.
That is correct. Yeah, we received a $13 million grants. We have allocated approximately $11.2 million of that $13 million to the existing project as it sits right now. So we have roughly $1.8 million left on the table that we're trying to utilize.
Very nice. Very nice. Any questions from the board? Glenn?
Are these replacing existing generators or are these new?
So we have 2 existing generators that are well past their life expectancy. We just ended up spending several $1,000s on one of the major generators to get it up and running as an emergency purchase because of it went down on us. And so this would be updating those 2 as well as adding a 3rd generator that would allow the entire treatment facility to operate when there's a power outage.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Questions from the audience? Michael, no, you're good, you got this? Then let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it.
Your Honor, I move to read Bill number 6477 for its final reading to pay the bills. Spend them
Second.
funds.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments from the board? Any comments from the audience? This is to approve a second read. So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it. Hillary, what say ye?
Your Honor, this is the final reading of Bill Number 6477, an ordinance approving the amendment with CDBG for the Compton Drive wastewater treatment plant flood proofing for a scope and environment review amendment for the purchase and installation of 3 generators and authorizing the mayor to execute the documents related thereto.
For the final reading of Bill Number 6477, do I have a motion approving this bill?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments from the board? Any comments from the audience? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, would you provide a roll call vote, please?
Lucas? Denham?
Yes.
Cooper?
Yes.
Howden?
Yes.
LeBlanc?
Yes.
Schultz?
Yes.
The result of the vote is 6-0. Motion carries. Your Honor, this is the first reading of Bill Number 6478, an ordinance approving the intergovernmental agreement with Public Water Supply District Number 3 for termination of water services and authorizing the mayor to execute the contract.
For the first reading of Bill 6478, do I have a motion approving this bill?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Report from Kendall.
Yeah, this agreement would grant the city of Branson the ability to shut off Public Water District Number 3 customers for non-payment of city of Branson sewer billings. This agreement is renewable from year to year with board approval each year. Staff recommends approval.
So this is just the annual renewal of what we've been doing.
It's not a renewal, it's actually a new contract. The old contract expired a couple days ago. I was a little late to the game. I'm getting it back to you guys for renewal, so I've got to start it over again.
What have you been doing?
It's my goof up. Staff capacity.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. Any comments from the board? Any comments from the audience? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kendall.
Your Honor, this is the first reading of Bill Number 6479, an ordinance establishing the Comprehensive Planning Committee in the city of Branson, Missouri.
You've heard the first reading of Bill 6479. Do I have a motion approving this bill?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We'll get a report from Mark. Hello, Mark.
Good evening, Your Honor, lady and gentlemen of the board, and Madam Administrator. Thank you for allowing me to have the time to address you. Branson is a special place. This is the opening line to the Branson Community Plan 2030. And it's time we update that plan. And special places don't just happen. They're made. They're made by dedicated and hardworking first responders. They're made up of hardworking city employees, employees for all our private businesses. It's made up of high-functioning wastewater and water treatment facilities. It's made up of high-functioning transportation systems. It's made up of high-quality parks, good neighborhoods, private businesses. And most importantly, special places, special communities are made up of special people. And it isn't for lack of acknowledgement that we do have a community made up of a bunch of special people that make it what it is. In order to keep Branson as that special place that it is, we need to continue to address the things that make it what it is, continue to acknowledge that it is a premier destination for live, work, investing, and playing. And we need to uphold and preserve that legacy. So, with that said, I'd like you to take a look at our current comprehensive plan, which is our community plan, and figure out how we can go about getting this plan updated. But you might ask, what is a comprehensive plan? A comprehensive plan is not necessarily a specific set of rules and guidelines. It really is a principal guide for directing our growth, our development, as well as giving us ideas of how we're going to make a plan or a vision for our community moving forward. I'd like you to take a think about what is Branson going to look like in 2040? What's it going to look like in the future? Just like you can't build a business or a home without blueprints, you can't build a community without a vision. And it's important we go about querying the community to figure out what really is going to be the vision for the city as we move forward, so we can develop a comprehensive plan for how this vision can be realized over time. The plan is going to acknowledge a variety of updates to the existing chapters of the plan, not necessarily go through each and every one of them, but it's important that we take a look at all the services and the things that the city does and does well, but take a look at how is that going to acknowledge the future capacity needs going forward. So with that said, we're going to continue to need to get input from the community, but we need to be able to do that by getting individuals that are going to be involved on a regular basis, people that are very involved in all the different aspects that make the community what it is, all the different individuals, the different stakeholder groups, et cetera. So what we're asking you to consider tonight is to form a comprehensive planning committee, which will be allowed to be comprised of individuals that cover a wide range of professions and organizations within the city, so they can use their own unique set of field of experiences to provide the input we need so we can develop that roadmap or that vision for the community going forward. We're looking at having the comprehensive planning committee be comprised of a variety of different community leaders, organizers and organizations, businesses, as well as residents. It is our goal to not only have the key people involved in this group to form this comprehensive planning committee, but we're going to rely on those individuals to be involved from day one so that when it comes to be time to implement that plan, they're going to already be excited about making forward and implementing the vision for the city. So not only do we want to update the plan, we want to be able to have an implementation plan that realizes the vision for the community going forward. So what you have before you is the ordinance to actually establish the creation of the comprehensive planning committee so we can get this plan established and start getting this community plan update moving. So I'd be happy to answer any questions, but I'll step aside otherwise.
Mark, thank you for that presentation.
Thank you.
Any questions, comments from the board? Marshall?
Mark, I have a different opening line to match yours. And mine is, it's a new day, right? I think these comprehensive plans can be important. I think they can set an agenda for the city going forward over the next decade or decade and a half. But I would be doing a lot of my constituents a disservice if I didn't mention there were questions they had with some parts of Community Plan 2030. The most glaring being, I think there's a lot of people who've run for office in this community that have been wrongly labeled anti-growth because some of the sentiments that were put into the Community Plan 2030. So I think we have to be very careful. I'd be looking more at a page one rewrite in some ways than kind of a revamp of it. Because I think we want to be a community that's not steered by national agendas, global agendas, things like that, but we want to be a bottom-up community where our citizens are heard first, where we honor the Ozarks and we honor our values, but we also look towards the future when it comes to growth, diversification of our businesses, and having tourism as a obviously huge tent pole. So anyway, I really would be doing a disservice to some of my constituents if I didn't say that, because I've sat at this dais numerous times and had people yell at me about Community Plan 2030, right? So in light of that, we need a comprehensive plan. I'm here to tell the citizens we're going to do it right, and we're going to put a heck of a lot of effort into this, making it one that fits Branson. And I just want to thank you, Mark, because I've said ever since you got here, I'm ready for this to happen because this has been talked about for a long time. So it's a new day. That's my slogan, and I'm excited. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Glenn? Oh, go ahead, Glenn.
Yeah, I'd also echo some of those same thoughts, and I do want to thank you, Mark, for biting off this task. I think it's an important thing. One of the things, a little different perspective from what Marshall just said about the 2030 plan, when I sat down, when I was consider running for alderman, I read that thing cover to cover. And I was shocked not only how it missed our community values, but how out of date it was. I mean, horribly out of date. So my question, one of my two questions to you is, when you consider a plan like this, starting new with this plan, what do you envision the lifetime of this document to be? In other words, how far out are you stretching our roadmap as a community?
Sure, great question, and appreciate the comments you made, Alderman Marshall. But this is typically designed to be like a 10-year plan, and give a little bit of context, and certainly we can provide more details as we move forward with this project, because it's not going to be an overnight kind of a thing. But being a 10-year plan, it's going to take anywhere of upwards of a year and a half to even 2 years to completely update the plan and do it right. It's not going to be something that you're going to be able to take the document and just update a couple of things and say we're done. So I appreciate your question, because there's a lot of opportunity to take a look at all different aspects of the community. But one thing that traditional comprehensive plans do not do is they don't necessarily take it from the traditional step of developing goals and objectives to actually go into the implementation phase. So I'm glad you mentioned the community values, and the same thing with Marshall's, because it's really important that's where you build the plan, and it's really important why I have the opportunity to speak to you tonight is because we want to get this comprehensive planning committee established so that we can assess those very things. So, even though, a community plan should be every 10 years, the current plan, the 2030 plan, was adopted by the board in 2012. It was actually the previous administration that started to get that plan and started to be updated right when COVID hit. In fact, if you take a look at previous documents, they were actually planning on starting that project the meeting right after the shutdown that occurred. So this is a little bit behind we're a little bit behind the 8 ball when it comes to that 10-year time span, but we really should do exactly what you're saying, continue to assess what is the status of the plan? Are we doing a good job implementing it? So one of the major things we're going to do behind the scenes is we're going to take a look at that existing plan and figure out what have we done and what we have not done. One thing that I would like to speak to is that it's nice you could take your wins where you can take them. One big project that occurred in that plan that was mentioned is about the updates to the 76 corridor. And we know we're really on the cusp of moving forward with that, and it's a really exciting time. But you're right, plans get outdated, which is why we need to be here today and talk about updating that. So,
I appreciate that. And then my second question for you is, what do you see as the process? So we've got a 2-year time frame roughly for them to develop the plan, for this committee to develop the plan. What do you see as the steps immediately following that?
following the update to the plan. So
yeah, once the plan is drafted by the committee, right, and the committee thinks they've got a near final document, what happens after that?
Sure.
What do you envision?
Sorry. So we would actually go before the Planning and Zoning Commission. They'll take a look at it. It's very important that we have that partner, because anytime you have development plans come forward, it's going to go through planning and zoning. They're your first line of defense before it comes to your board. And ultimately, then it will come before you. So there's going to be, even before it gets there, there's going to be your opportunity to put it out for public comment. So it's very important that this is a transparent process, that we can continue to query the community and making sure that they have opportunities to provide input. Because I appreciate, again, I keep referring back to what Marshall had said, but he's absolutely right. We can't be driven by outside forces per se. We need to be driven by a bottom-up approach to what is Branson, what makes Branson that special place, which is why I stress so much that opening line of the existing plan. Branson is a special place. You come to meeting after meeting, and you hear people coming to our meetings and saying about what makes Branson such a special place, why people want to be here, why people are moving here in droves, why people want to bring development here. So it's just going to continue to insulate that and encourage it to be, as I like to say, make Branson more Branson.
Great, thank you.
Ruth?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Kathy, Alex, thank you. I was so excited when I saw this item on the agenda. Mark, this is you. I can see the passion when you speak about this. Faith, family, flag is definitely not reflected in the Community 2030 plan. You can see so much in the 2030 plan of the global agenda, the UN, the WEF, the rules that are coming from that. That's not who we are. That's not who we are as a community. And I am just so excited to see the ball start rolling with this. I am very blessed to be on Planning and Zoning Commission, to where I'll be able to go through with all the leaders that will be involved in this, and then also with on the Board of Aldermen. So thank you. I cannot say thank you enough.
Mark, I was here when they created the 2030 plan, and one thing I thought was very productive was there were several days where we used the courthouse, where we had displays up, and we had individuals from the city there. And so we're like, for the zoning map and different things that we were doing, that we gave plenty of time for our citizens to come and they would interact and give their input. But there seemed to be, I don't want to say an abundance, but there was plenty of time to get community involvement. And I know that's probably on your list. I just wanted to share with you that I witnessed when we did that, and that was extremely effective. Instead of, here it is, and you're going to live with it. Yep.
Yes, sir.
Any other board members have any questions, comments? Anybody in the audience? Sorry, state your name and address. Number of grandchildren.
State Representative Brian Seitz, Krypton. I'm glad we're having this discussion, because whenever the Board of Aldermen, mayor, and so forth, whoever it was in 2012, except for yourself, Mr. Mayor, I have great concerns about some of the people who were actually guiding our city at that time. So if this was a plan that they had formulated and that they were championing and pushing forward, I would probably be against it. So though I do not insert myself in city business very often, I am probably going to attempt to be on this committee to steer it in the direction that the current mayor and this current Board of Aldermen would like to see it, representing the citizens of this community, and not some sort of global agenda that comes through many of these 2030 agendas and other things that we can see internationally and nationally that might not contain the values of Branson, Missouri. So this is one I would like to be intimately involved with and to help guide in the way that what I'm seeing now is that the way that you would like to see it be guided and not bring some sort of other agenda into our community. So thank you.
Yeah, we're thinking of either you or bringing somebody in from San Francisco's economic development plan. And just so you know, Kathy Stapp, our fearless leader, she is going to be creating and organizing this mission. Any other questions, comments from the board? I am tickled pink we're doing this. So we are going to vote on this. Oh, it's a, yeah, okay. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it. Mark?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're at the report section. So Mr. Lucas, what say you?
It's just another time that I'm very happy to be on this board, in spite of some of the people that we have to contend with on this DS.
He's pointing at me.
Yes.
I thought this was the part where the resignation was going to come in.
Okay, I resign.
Okay, all in favor? We'll do a double read on this one. Ruth?
Tonight is one of my happiest meetings. I just thank you, Representative Seitz, for always caring so much about your district. You really put feet to your words. Very fortunate to have you as a leader of our 156th district, and thank you for wanting to serve this community here in Branson. Second of all, I'm just still in awe that I got to meet Lloyd Branson. I'm so just following them for so many years and following the court case, and that he took the time out to come and speak with us and be a part of the Freedom Encounter Theater. We are really blessed with the people that we have in this community, even with these people here on the board, Artie. I like them all. So thank you, just very, very proud to be serving Branson at this time.
Thank you. Clay?
Kind of what Artie said. I just, it's cool to watch when hot topics come up and you get, Glenn has something and maybe Ralph has something there. They kind of oppose each other, but we talk it out and we take there's a lot of consideration into the decisions and the yes and no votes. And I just appreciate that because, again, 4 years ago I sat out there and didn't see a lot of that. So it feels good to be up here where there's open discussion, whether we agree on it or not. We all take a vote, and if it goes one way or the other, we go back there and have a slice of pizza, and it's all good. You know what I'm saying? So that's nice. That's it.
Thank you, Clay. Marshall?
Mr. Mayor, I wanted to return peripherally something not about item number 12. I didn't feel it was appropriate during the item, but it's sort of tangentially related. Kathy, if you could help me find out, there are gazebos along that route there on Gretna Road, the Avenue of Freedom.
Yes.
I would like to find out who owns those, who's in operation of those. I've done a little bit of research, and I've even done research because I'm on Parks Board. My understanding is they were part of the original TIF, essentially, that was created in there. I got a buddy. His name's Tony. Some of you guys know him. And we would really like. He's a singer. That's right. Is he one of my favorites? He is. Me and him have this dream that someday we're going to put a statue to one of the most iconic Branson entertainers, Boxcar Willie, because of everything that Boxcar did for this community. And I think within one of those gazebos might be a great spot for that, especially as we're getting the flags up. We've got Bob Hope Memorial Drive there. That could just be I think the Eagle out here was in one of those gazebos at one point.
No.
Not that same one, Mr. Mayor? Different?
Which Eagle?
The one out here in the lobby. There was an eagle statue within one of those gazebos at one point.
This one wasn't.
Okay, got it. Well, if we could find out a little bit more information about those, how as a city we could maybe work with whoever does own them or work with the infrastructure there, because I think that little corridor, especially with the Mammoth Project and everything that's going in there and making that really a high-powered corridor of this community, just having that veterans thing as the front porch of Branson, I think would be really incredible, and would love to take advantage of the infrastructure that does exist on those roads. So.
It's a great idea. Mr. Ralph.
Kathy, I was just wondering on this kind of tangential or whatever, but I was wondering if you could do anything about the weather. Like, do something about the weather, please. No, you know, government was never like an idea of something that I thought I'd ever do. But I got to tell you, like, to be able to enhance the lives of the residents in the community in which we live in is an absolute honor and a pleasure. And I serve at the honor and pleasure of the people who voted me in this office. And I will always support the residents of this community first. And I will always do what's best for the community as a whole. And tonight was part and parcel of that. And what I feel based on, you know, observation, 27 years of being in the community and loving this community now, making this community my home, and where my kids are growing up and my grandkids will grow up. A lot of people mirror my same situation. And I just think it's an honor to be here, and I will always treat it that way. That's all I got.
Thank you. Glenn?
Yeah, I agree with the comments. It was an interesting meeting, a great meeting, a lot of nice things tonight. I just want to kind of turn Kathy's observation around when she kind of defended the staff from being so buried with all the projects that are going on and say, I really hope that not only our internal business people within Branson, but people outside of Branson are really paying attention to what the city is doing, because I don't know many cities our size that have the number of major capital improvement projects going on, new businesses moving in, new homes being built. I mean, there's a lot of great things going on in Branson that you're very hard pressed to find in many other communities. And I hope those people that are looking for places to put their investments, to locate their family, give Branson a really good share of their attention, because I think there's a lot going on here and it's going to pay off even bigger as we go down the road.
Thank you, Glenn. Kathy?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I've a thing that I wanted to mention, and that is that I've seen it on a drawing somewhere here in the last few days, a potential welcome to historic downtown Branson arch. And I'd really like to see if there's any way that we can get that done. I think it would be exciting. Michael, Alex, Kathy, I think it would be a great addition to downtown.
Okay, yeah. My 2 cents on that is I think there'll be a tremendous amount of support for that. We also need to be fair. The contractor Michael's working with on downtown Branson is an extremely tight timeline because the businesses are going to be disrupted. So he's on a tight budget and a tight timeline. I believe we're going to reach middle ground where we're going to put in the footings, or whatever they're called, Michael, for that sign while they're doing this construction, but not ask for anything more than just the base to allow us time to put something else on their list. But I'm with you. Is that fair, Michael? Okay. But it was still going to be up by March, right? Just kidding. So my updates, I want to remind everybody we have the Chiefs Rally at the Landing Saturday at 6 p.m. We have a meeting Wednesday at the Compton Flood Protection. That update is at the Community Center Wednesday at 4:30. We have a badge pinning Wednesday at 5:30. These surveys went out. Actually, there was a survey sent to businesses and a survey sent to residents. Alex has shared that the results we're getting back is very well, very good input from the community, which is exciting. And the Kansas City Chief cheerleaders are in town. They came in town on Sunday. They have been visiting Branson. They've been going to shows, Silver Dollar City, the lake, the attractions, fire departments. But they're getting to enjoy Branson, which is really, really cool. There's a gentleman, I think he's fairly new with the CVB. I need to reach out and sit with him. His name is, I want to say Compton. Okay, so he's not named after a sewer plant. I apologize, I don't recall his name. But he was instrumental in causing the Kansas City Chief cheerleaders here. And what I'm hearing is these girls are having an absolute ball. And if you can imagine, if they start getting on their Instagram, I'm told they probably are too young to have Facebook, but on their Instagram account and start talking about the fun they're having in Branson. I think that's incredible. So if you would, enjoy our time with at the landing on Saturday. And I would echo a lot of the thoughts that were shared tonight. And I remember Clay being in the audience when I was an alderman. And Clay was not happy. And I was not happy. And where we've been from then to have discussions, and tonight was a great example. Different opinions, respecting each other's opinions, right? And coming up with, when a board makes a decision, it's much better than autocratic, right? One person making decisions. So I think the board is healthy. I'm proud to be the mayor. I'm looking forward to our retreat. I think there's going to be great things that come out of that. And with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. We have all in favor, aye. Aye, 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 aye.
Yeah.